So, Some Ordinary Gamers has released the full Jirard Discord call interview. He writes, for transparency and given recent threats, we decided to release this call for any party to review. Now, the recent threats, of course, to escalate the situation, Jirard threatened to sue both Some Ordinary Gamers, or it was subtly, or not even subtly, but implicit, right? Because he was using their videos as what was wrong, and Carl Jobs, right? These two individuals, Carl Jobs released a clip, and now Some Ordinary Gamers released the entire phone call interview. So for transparency and given recent threats, we decided to release this call, and it is a very, very bad call for Jirard. It shows that he is very manipulative. It shows that he is I'm going to read you some comments and then give you my legal opinion on what this actually means and whether or not it would prevent him from suing for slander or defamation. Jirard legit hurt himself in his confusion. Carl and Muta gave him a chance to clean this up honorably. Instead, he threatened to sue them, forcing their hand on sharing the truly damning stuff. Now, from a legal perspective, how effective is releasing this audio? I think it's very effective because it tells the lawyer or lawyers, apparently Jirard has a team of them and they are somehow connected to his dad, maybe his dad's business. He's been receiving legal counsel on whether or not he should sue. Now, any lawyer worth their salt is going to listen to this audio and say, you know what, these two guys were really nice to you. There was no malice. Now, back to defamation. So defamation includes slander and libel. Specifically, Jirard mentioned slander. For a public figure, so in defamation, there's two types of individuals, private individuals and public figures. For a public figure, you have to prove malicious, right? The standard is incredibly high. And one of the things that you have to prove is that Carl and Muta were acting in malice. They really hated this guy. They didn't give him any chances. They wanted to ruin him at any cost, even if the facts didn't make sense, even if they had to manipulate facts and they knew some information was false, but they presented it anyway as real. When we talk about defamation, the best case is the Times versus Sullivan case. And defamation, again, very, very difficult to win on a public figure. I don't think anyone would argue that Jirard is not a public figure. There might be some argument that his dad is not a public figure, but it ends with Jirard. Jirard is a public figure. So let's go over New York Times Co. versus Sullivan, where a police chief brought a defamation claim regarding a newspaper. The Supreme Court held that for a public official to succeed on a defamation claim, the public official plaintiff must show that false, defaming statements were said with actual malice. Quotations. Quotation, actual malice, end quotation. The Sullivan Court noted the threat relaxed defamatory statements could pose to First Amendment freedom of speech, and given the special importance of being able to question government officials. The court found that states' libertas per se standard does not satisfy the First Amendment protections as it relates to public officials. The Sullivan Court stated that, quotation, actual malice, end quotation, means that the defendant said the defamatory statement with knowledge that it was false or with reckless disregard of whether it was false or not. So when you listen to this audio, what you actually come away with is, wow, these guys actually wanted to help Jirard. They gave Jirard every opportunity to apologize, redeem himself, to basically make good on his bad. But instead, Jirard decided to choose B, which is to attempt to sue these two. And then that got the audio clip from last night, or the 1.5 minute audio clip, and now the longer phone call, which You see the manipulation. You see Jirard, dead mom, dead mom, dead mom. I mean, how many times can you talk about your dead mom? You see the 20 mouths to feed. There's a lot in here where, let's read this again. So actual malice means with knowledge that it was false or with reckless disregard of whether it was false or not. This conversation that they had and they recorded, and that's now being watched hundreds of thousands of times, is definitely not that. It is not them acting with actual malice. It is not them acting with knowledge that it was false or reckless disregard, whether it was false or not. They called him, they had a discussion with him, and if anything, they came away with, wow, this guy is definitely more guilty than we thought he was. Now, there's a second part to it that is also important. The Sullivan Court also held that when the standard is actual malice, the plaintiff must prove actual malice by clear and convincing evidence rather than the usual burden of proof in a civil case. So in civil case, it's 51 versus, 49, which is the preponderance of the evidence standard. On this point, the precise language in the Sullivan Court used is that plaintiffs must show the convincing clarity which the constitutional standard demands. So this audio really, it's basically what Some Ordinary Gamers Muta said. For transparency and given recent threats, we decided to release this call for any party to review, any party being a lawyer who may accept his case. Now, you might say, oh, well, lawyers just are in it for money. If Jirard wants to sue, he can sue. That's correct. But given the evidence against Jirard, many lawyers would stay away from this. Many reputable lawyers, because A, they don't want to take the L, and B, if Jirard's own YouTube channel is any indicator of it, there will be massive backlash, especially after this recording has been released, against that lawyer and law firm. And C, even if that lawyer law firm doesn't care about the backlash, they're the bad guys, they're the villains, right? There is the ability for people to report them to the state bar and have them disbarred, which would prevent them from practicing law. Now, again, that's something to do with why did you take a case that was so obvious, right? Why did you engage in this individual's wanted, when it was so clear the evidence is that there is no slander case and it's not winnable. So this was the defense. This is and you might think, oh, why did they look at? I wouldn't be surprised if. So we know that Carl Jobs has lawyers, or has one lawyer against the Billy Mitchell. I'm going to be surprised if Carl Jobs shot this over to that lawyer or to another lawyer, and Muta was on the phone call. Maybe Muta has his own lawyer as well, and they talked about whether or not to release the phone call. And if releasing the phone call could save them eventually down the road massive legal fees. And they concluded, yes, you have to release the phone call in its entirety, not just a snippet of it. A lot of why Jirard is viewed so poorly right now is because of this audio. It's the begging, it's the emotional pleas, it's the 20 mouths to feed, it's his dead mom over and over again. Crazy. Carl seeing through the BS emotional manipulation is insane. It's rough setting aside emotions to nail a story, and he did it perfectly. Carl's spot on. Doesn't matter the person or their intent, but he lied and manipulated people. Don't worry, Muta. Jirard will take about a decade before he finds the right lawyer to file the lawsuit. The call is so damning. Jirard is so screwed. It's funny because Muta and Carl didn't even want to release this audio, but Jirard forced their hands. Thank you so much for sharing the truth. The fact that Muta and Carl gave him advice and Jirard turned on them with threats is insane. And this is exactly why the defamation thing isn't going to hold, because they weren't acting in malice. They weren't. This is very far away from trying to damage somebody. They gave him every opportunity to explain. They gave him every opportunity to apologize. They gave him every opportunity to say, you know what, guys, I'm wrong, and you guys are right, and I'm going to make a apology video, and that's going to be it. But instead, he chose Route B. The completionist, right? He's got to take every route. We should take a shot every time Jirard mentions his mom. Like, I don't want to say anything bad. Again, he lost his mom. However, it's been 10 years of using your dead mom's name. Can you give it a rest? I mean, this is... I mean, how many times can he talk about his dead mom in one video? When begging didn't work, Jirard threatened them with lawsuits. People who defend him are delusional at best. Muta, this might be the best work you've ever done. Over half an hour of Jirard attempting to guilt trip Carl and Muta. I love how he mentions Pro Jared and JonTron. Yikes, man. The guy's been running people over the bus. Funny how you guys still gave him the chance to do things right, and what does he do? Threatens to sue. No matter how many examples there are out there of YouTubers having the chance to redeem themselves and failing, it seems no one learns. If you listen carefully, you can hear Jirard's credibility and career bursting in flames. It's still wild to me that Jirard didn't just apologize in his video and promise to do better, and instead wanted to further escalate his crimes. Insanity. This is a good point. Carl lost both his parents and his mom recently. You guys went so easy on him with the parts you included on the call in the original video. Yeah, so I look at this and I say, how could there be malice when they're trying to, they specifically, the most harmful parts to his reputation were left out until he threatened to sue. Then it had to be released because, it has to be released, and why not release it publicly? I do feel that Jirard may have gotten really bad legal counsel. It seems like he had talked to his attorneys. He mentions talking to his attorneys or his dad's attorneys or some level of attorneys and them considering to sue for slander. I find it kind of weird that these lawyers gave him that advice that he could win. So no good lawyers should be giving him, hey, yeah, let's go sue somebody for slander. That will 100% work, Jirard. So again, I'm very surprised this is the route he took. I don't know if it was his dad. I don't know if it was some rogue lawyer who didn't really understand how difficult it would be. I really am appalled by this video. This video is far, far worse than anything that Jirard... It basically shows that Muta and Carl, they were not in it to defame. They were not in it for malice. They were not in it for reckless disregard. They gave him every chance to explain himself. They gave him every chance to redeem himself. And instead of doing this, he decided that, hey, I'm going to choose violence today. And how does he not understand? After the first video release, the timeline is just bizarre, right? The timeline is so bizarre that you can't make this stuff up. He knows they have a video recording of him. And he knows the video recording part that they have are the kindest part to him. They didn't use the 20 mouths to feed or, hey guys, do you want some money? They didn't use the very lengthy, basically confessional, right? That he did wrong. And he knows he did wrong. And he's buying time. He wants to know when their videos are coming out. He's very manipulative. And he thought it was a good idea. Instead to just, take it on the chin. You did bad, boy. Just say that you would do better. People will forgive you. We live in America. Land of second opportunities. But instead, he doubled down. And then this gets released. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he forgot. The people say maybe he didn't tell his lawyer. I can't imagine any lawyer sitting there and saying, Jirard, tell me what you said. oh, I said this, and be like, oh, it's a really good idea to irritate these guys. Jirard, we're going to tell them we're going to sue them. I don't see how that meeting happens, where where some lawyer concludes, or some team, Jirard himself concludes that this is a good idea. This is probably the worst idea he's ever had in his life, is to threaten to sue Carl Jobs and Muta after they recorded this and after he knew that they had to record. This is just bizarre in my opinion. I don't get it. You don't even need discovery at this point in time. You already know what it would look like. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Bye, guys.